Welcome, dear listener, to this peaceful sanctuary of rest and reflection. As you settle into this moment, allow yourself to release the weight of the day. Feel your body sinking deeper into comfort, your breath becoming slower, more intentional. Tonight, we journey together through ancient wisdom and gentle stories, each one a soft whisper guiding you toward the tranquil shores of sleep. The path before us is illuminated not by harsh light, but by the gentle glow of understanding, patience, and compassion. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to accomplish. This time belongs entirely to you and the quiet wisdom of the ages. In a remote mountain monastery, where mist clung to ancient pine trees like silk scarves, there lived a Zen master named Ryokan. He was known throughout the region not for grand demonstrations of spiritual power, but for his extraordinary simplicity. His dwelling was a small hut, barely large enough for a sleeping mat and a few possessions. Yet those who visited him often remarked that they had never felt such peace as they did within those humble walls. One autumn evening, as golden leaves drifted through the air like prayers, a young monk named Kenji climbed the mountain path to seek Ryokan's guidance. Kenji carried with him a heavy burden, though it was invisible to the eye. For months, he had struggled with racing thoughts, an inability to quiet his mind even during meditation. Sleep had become an elusive companion, always just beyond his reach. When Kenji arrived at Ryokan's hut, he found the master sitting outside, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. Ryokan gestured for the young monk to sit beside him, but said nothing. They sat together in silence as darkness slowly embraced the mountain. The only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant call of an owl. Kenji felt his impatience rising. He had climbed for hours to seek wisdom, and yet the master offered only silence. Finally, unable to contain himself, Kenji spoke. "Master, I have come seeking your guidance. My mind is like a wild horse that refuses to be tamed. Even when I try to meditate, thoughts chase one another endlessly. At night, sleep escapes me. I am exhausted, yet cannot rest. Please, teach me how to find peace." Ryokan smiled gently, his eyes twinkling in the moonlight that had begun to illuminate the clearing. "Tell me," he said softly, "when you try to stop thinking, what happens?" Kenji considered the question. The thoughts only become louder, more insistent. It is as if trying to silence them gives them greater strength. The master nodded slowly. "And when you chase after sleep, desperate to catch it, does it come to you?" Kenji shook his head, feeling the truth of his predicament settling over him like a heavy cloak. "No, master. The harder I try to sleep, the more awake I become." Ryokan rose gracefully and walked to a small stream that bubbled nearby. He gestured for Kenji to follow. In the moonlight, the water sparkled like scattered diamonds. "Watch the stream," Ryokan instructed. "See how it flows around the rocks, never fighting against them, never trying to force its way. It simply moves, naturally, effortlessly. When it encounters an obstacle, it does not struggle or strain. It flows around or over, or sometimes it pools for a moment before continuing its journey. This is the way of water, and this is the way of the peaceful mind." Kenji watched the stream, mesmerized by its gentle movement. "But master," he said, "my thoughts are not like water. They are chaotic, disturbing. How can I make them flow peacefully?" Ryokan picked up a small stone and dropped it into the stream. Ripples spread across the surface, disturbing the reflection of the moon. But within moments, the water settled, and the moon's image returned, whole and serene. "Your thoughts are like these ripples," Ryokan explained. "They arise naturally, they disturb the surface, and then they pass. The problem is not the thoughts themselves, but your relationship with them. You fight them, you judge them, you want them to be different. This struggle is what keeps you awake, not the thoughts themselves." The young monk felt something shift within him as he absorbed these words. So I should not try to stop my thoughts? He asked. You should stop trying to stop them, Ryokan replied with a gentle smile. When a thought arises, acknowledge it as you would acknowledge a passing bird. You would not chase the bird, nor would you try to prevent it from flying. You simply notice it and let it continue on its way. Your mind is like the sky, vast and open. Thoughts are like clouds passing through. The sky does not cling to the clouds, nor does it push them away. It simply allows them to pass. They returned to the hut, and Ryokan invited Kenji to lie down on a spare mat. Tonight, the master said, you will practice the art of allowing. Do not try to sleep. Simply lie here and breathe. When a thought comes, greet it silently. Hello, thought. You are welcome here. Then return your attention to your breath. Not to push the thought away, but simply to redirect your focus gently, as you would guide a child who has wandered off the path. There is no success or failure in this practice, only the gentle return, again and again, to the present moment. Kenji lay down, feeling the rough texture of the mat beneath him, hearing the night sounds of the forest, sensing the cool air on his skin. A thought arose immediately. This will not work. I have tried everything. He felt the familiar tension beginning to build, but then remembered the master's words. Hello, thought. You are welcome here. The thought seemed to pause, surprised by this greeting, and then drifted away like smoke. Another thought arose. What time is it? How long have I been lying here? Again, Kenji greeted it silently and returned to his breath. In, out, in, out. The rhythm was like the stream, flowing naturally, effortlessly. Gradually, the space between thoughts began to widen. Kenji noticed the sensation of his body relaxing, muscles releasing tension he had not realized he was holding. His jaw unclenched, his shoulders dropped away from his ears. His hands, which had been curled into fists, opened like flowers greeting the dawn. The sounds of the forest became not intrusions but a lullaby, the whisper of wind through pine needles, the distant trickle of the stream, the soft breath of the master sleeping nearby. Kenji did not notice the moment when wakefulness transformed into sleep. There was no boundary, no distinct transition. Awareness simply softened, like twilight, blending into night, and he drifted into the deepest, most restful sleep he had experienced in months. When morning light filtered through the trees, Kenji awoke feeling renewed, as if he had been washed clean by a gentle rain. Ryokan was already awake, preparing simple tea over a small fire. The young monk sat up, and the memory of the previous night returned to him with the clarity of a bell ringing in mountain air. Master, he said, I understand now. I was fighting against my own mind, treating my thoughts as enemies. This struggle was the true source of my suffering, not the thoughts themselves. Ryokan poured tea into 2 simple cups and handed one to Kenji. You have learned an important teaching, he said. But remember, understanding intellectually is just the beginning. This wisdom must be practiced, embodied, lived. There will be nights when thoughts seem overwhelming again. In those moments, return to what you learned. Greet each thought with kindness, and gently guide your attention back to the breath. Over time, this becomes as natural as breathing itself. They drank their tea in companionable silence, watching as sunlight transformed the mist into golden threads. A bird sang from a nearby branch, its melody pure and unencumbered. There is one more thing, Ryokan added, setting down his cup. Sleep, like happiness, like peace, cannot be grasped. The moment you try to hold it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But when you open your hands and allow it to come and go freely, it stays as long as it is meant to stay. This is the paradox of letting go. By releasing our desperate grip, we receive what we truly need. Kenji bowed deeply, gratitude flowing through him like the stream flowed down the mountain. He had climbed seeking a technique, a method, a solution to his problem. What he received was far more valuable, a fundamental shift in how he related to his own experience. As he prepared to descend the mountain and return to his monastery, Ryokan walked with him to the edge of the path. "Remember," the master said, "the peace you found last night was not something I gave you. It was already within you, waiting to be discovered. I simply helped you remove the obstacles you had placed in your own way. This peace is your birthright, available to you always, in every moment." The young monk nodded, feeling the truth of these words resonating in his bones. As he walked down the mountain path, he noticed things he had been too agitated to see during his anxious climb the previous day. The intricate patterns of bark on ancient trees, each line telling a story of seasons endured and weathered. The delicate architecture of spider webs strung between branches, holding drops of morning dew like pearls. The soft moss covering stones, creating emerald cushions in the forest. Everything around him was exactly as it should be, neither rushing nor delaying, simply existing in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. This observation stirred something within Kenji, a recognition that he too was part of this natural order. His thoughts, his worries, his sleepless nights, even these were natural phenomena, like storms that come and go. The mistake had been thinking he was separate from nature, subject to different rules, required to control and manage his inner weather through force of will alone. As Kenji's story teaches us, the path to restful sleep often requires us to stop trying so hard to achieve it. There is profound wisdom in the practice of allowing, in the gentle acceptance of whatever arises in our experience. When we lie down to rest, we bring with us all the accumulated tensions of the day, the unresolved conversations, the tomorrow's worries, the yesterday's regrets. These mental visitors knock at the door of our consciousness, demanding attention. The natural impulse is to bar the door, to tell them they are not welcome, to exhaust ourselves trying to keep them out. But what if we opened the door instead? What if we acknowledged each visitor, allowed it to speak its piece, and then gently showed it to the exit? This is not the same as engaging with every worry, arguing with every fear, solving every problem that presents itself. Rather, it is the practice of witnessing without attachment, observing without judgment. Let us explore this practice together now. As you lie in comfortable repose, become aware of your breath, not changing it, not deepening or slowing it deliberately, simply noticing it. The cool air entering your nostrils, the gentle rise of your chest or belly, the warm air departing, the subtle pause before the next breath arrives. Your breath is always with you, a faithful companion from your first moment of life to your last. It requires no effort, no management. Your body breathes you, wisely, perfectly, without your conscious intervention. This is your anchor, your home base, the place to which you can always return when the mind wanders into its familiar territories of planning and rumination. Now, as you continue breathing naturally, expand your awareness to include the sensations in your body. Notice the points of contact between your body and the surface beneath you. Your head, your shoulders, your back, your hips, your legs, your feet. Feel the pull of gravity, that fundamental force that grounds you to the earth. You are supported, held, sustained. There is no effort required to maintain your position. You can release the muscular tension that has become so habitual you perhaps no longer notice it. Your jaw can soften. The tiny muscles around your eyes can relax. Your tongue can rest gently in your mouth, not pressing against your teeth or the roof of your mouth. Your shoulders can drop away from your ears, creating space and ease in your neck. Your hands can open, palms up or down, fingers uncurling naturally. As you invite this physical relaxation, you may notice thoughts arising. Am I doing this correctly? This isn't working. I should be asleep by now. I have so much to do tomorrow. These thoughts are completely natural, completely normal. They are not signs of failure or inadequacy. They are simply what minds do. Minds think, just as hearts beat, and lungs breathe. The practice is not to stop the thoughts, but to change your relationship with them. When you notice a thought, you might silently acknowledge it. Thinking is happening. This simple label creates a small space between you as the observer and the thought itself. You are not the thought. You are the awareness within which thoughts arise and pass away. Then, gently, without force or frustration, guide your attention back to your breath, back to the sensations in your body, back to the present moment, which is the only moment that actually exists. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but this moment, right now, is real. And in this moment, you are safe, you are breathing, you are alive. Everything else is story, interpretation, mental construction. This does not mean your concerns are not valid or important. It simply means that right now, in this moment of rest, you can allow them to wait. They will still be there in the morning if they require your attention. But for now, you can practice the art of temporarily setting down your burdens. There is an old Zen teaching about a monk who carried his teacher across a muddy road, setting her down on the other side. Hours later, his companion monk was still troubled by this incident, as their order prohibited touching women. "How could you carry her like that?" he asked, distressed. The first monk smiled gently and replied, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story illuminates a profound truth about the human mind. We pick up concerns, worries, resentments, and responsibilities, and we carry them with us long after the moment has passed, long after the action that could be taken has been completed. We lie down to rest while still gripping tightly to these burdens, wondering why sleep eludes us. The practice of letting go is not about dismissing or denying what is real and important in our lives. It is about recognizing when our continued mental engagement with something is no longer helpful or productive. It is about developing the wisdom to know when to act and when to rest, when to engage and when to release. As you lie here now, you can practice setting down your burdens one by one. Imagine each concern, each worry, each item on your mental list as a stone you have been carrying in a backpack. With each exhale, you can imagine removing one stone and placing it gently beside the path. The stone still exists. The concern is still real. But for now, for this period of rest, you are not carrying it. Your shoulders can relax. Your back can ease. Your journey becomes lighter. In ancient Japan, there was a samurai warrior named Nobunaga who was famous for his skill in battle, but troubled by his inability to find peace when the fighting ceased. Despite his external success and reputation, he was plagued by nightmares and insomnia. He sought out many teachers, trying various practices and techniques, but nothing brought him lasting relief. Finally, he traveled to a remote temple to meet with a Zen master named Hakuin, renowned for his direct and sometimes shocking teaching methods. Nobunaga arrived at the temple in his full armor, sword at his side, his bearing proud and demanding. "I have come for enlightenment," he declared. "Teach me about heaven and hell." Hakuin looked at the warrior with an expression of disdain. "Teach you," he scoffed. "You are nothing but a crude soldier. Your mind is dull, your bearing is arrogant. I could not possibly teach someone like you anything about the subtle matters of heaven and hell. You are wasting my time. Leave this temple immediately." Nobunaga felt rage rising within him like a tidal wave. His hand moved instinctively to his sword. His face flushed red. Every muscle in his body tensed, preparing for violence. How dare this old monk insult him, a great warrior, in such a manner? He partially drew his sword from its sheath, fully prepared to strike down this insolent teacher. At that precise moment, Hakuin said calmly, "That is hell." The words struck Nobunaga with more force than any physical blow could have. In an instant, he saw clearly what the master had done. Through his skillful provocation, Hakuin had shown the warrior his own hell, the hell he carried within him always, the hell of reactivity, of rage, of ego defending itself at all costs. This hell was not a place he went to after death. It was a state he entered many times each day, whenever his pride was challenged, whenever events did not unfold according to his wishes, whenever fear disguised itself as anger and possessed him. Nobunaga's anger dissolved immediately, replaced by profound gratitude and humility. He returned his sword to its sheath and bowed deeply before the master. Tears rolled down his weathered cheeks. Hakuin smiled with genuine warmth and said softly, "And that is heaven." This story reveals that heaven and hell are not distant destinations but present states of mind. Hell is the state of resistance, of fighting against what is, of being consumed by reactivity and ego. Heaven is the state of acceptance, of presence, of recognizing truth even when it is uncomfortable, of gratitude and humility. Every moment offers us the choice of which state we will inhabit. When we lie down to sleep and find ourselves wrestling with thoughts, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, we are creating our own hell. Not because the content of our thoughts is necessarily negative, but because we are at war with our own experience. We want thoughts to stop, but they continue. We want sleep to come, but it delays. We want peace, but we create conflict through our very desire for peace. The alternative is not to give up on sleep or peace, but to stop fighting for them. This is a subtle but crucial distinction. Fighting for sleep is hell. Allowing sleep is heaven. Creating conditions conducive to rest, darkness, quiet, comfort, relaxation, this is wise action. But then comes the practice of releasing our attachment to the outcome. We cannot force sleep to arrive any more than we can force a flower to bloom. We can provide the right conditions, soil, water, sunlight, and then we must trust the natural process. Similarly, we can create the conditions for rest, a comfortable position, regulated breathing, physical relaxation, mental acceptance, and then we must trust our body's innate wisdom to enter sleep when the conditions are right. As you practice this allowing, you may notice an interesting phenomenon. The very act of accepting wakefulness often leads to sleep. This is not a technique or a trick to manipulate yourself into sleeping. Rather, it is a natural consequence of releasing the tension that keeps you alert. As long as you are fighting to sleep, a part of you must remain vigilantly awake to conduct the fight. When you stop fighting, when you truly accept that you may lie here all night without sleeping, and that will be okay, something remarkable happens. The watchful part of your mind, no longer needed, can finally rest. The body, no longer flooded with the stress hormones produced by struggle, can begin its journey into the deep restoration of sleep. This teaching applies not only to sleep, but to all aspects of life. How much of our suffering comes not from circumstances themselves, but from our resistance to circumstances? A traffic jam is simply cars moving slowly. Our frustration, our anger, our stress, these are additions we bring to the situation. A rainy day is simply water falling from the sky. Our disappointment about cancelled plans, our irritation at the disruption of our routine, these are our responses, not inherent qualities of the rain. A thought is simply a mental event, an electrochemical process in the brain. Our identification with it, our belief that it defines us or predicts our future, this is where suffering emerges. The practice, therefore, is to distinguish between the primary experience and our reaction to it, between what is actually happening and the story we tell about what is happening. Right now, as you lie here, what is your primary experience? Perhaps the sensation of breath moving in and out, the feeling of weight against the surface beneath you, sounds in the environment. These are simple, direct experiences. Then notice the secondary layer, the thoughts about these experiences. This should be helping me sleep by now. That sound is annoying. I'm not relaxing properly. These thoughts are not the experience itself, but commentary on the experience. You can acknowledge these thoughts without believing them or following them. You can say internally, I notice I'm having the thought that this should be working by now, rather than simply believing, this should be working by now. This small shift in relationship creates enormous freedom. You are not at the mercy of every thought that arises. You are the spacious awareness within which thoughts come and go, like clouds moving across the vast sky. The sky is not disturbed by clouds. It does not fight them or chase them away. It simply allows them to move through, appearing and disappearing according to their nature. There is a beautiful practice in some Buddhist traditions called just sitting, or shikantaza in Japanese. It is the practice of sitting in meditation without any particular goal or technique, simply being present with whatever arises. No counting breaths, no visualizations, no mantras, just sitting. When thoughts arise, you acknowledge them and let them pass. When sensations arise, you feel them without judgment. When emotions arise, you allow them to move through without suppression or amplification. This practice might seem too simple, too passive. Where is the effort, the striving, the achievement? Yet it is actually one of the most profound and challenging practices because it goes against everything our culture teaches us about how to accomplish things. We are taught that we must do something, achieve something, make something happen through force of will and sustained effort. This approach works well for many endeavors. If you want to build a house, you must actively construct it. It will not build itself while you sit passively. But sleep is not a house. Peace is not a project. Relaxation is not a goal to be achieved through effort. These states emerge naturally when we stop preventing them. We do not make ourselves sleep. We allow sleep to take us. We do not create peace. We remove the obstacles to peace that already exist beneath the surface of our busy minds. As you rest here now, you can practice just lying, the horizontal equivalent of just sitting. No goal, no striving, no measurement of success or failure. Simply lie here, breathe, and allow whatever happens to happen. If sleep comes, welcome it. If sleep does not come, that is also acceptable. You are not failing. You are not doing anything wrong. You are simply being with yourself exactly as you are in this moment, without requiring yourself to be different. This is an act of profound self-compassion, a gift you give to yourself simply by accepting your present experience. There is a famous Zen koan, a paradoxical question used to challenge students' understanding. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Rational mind struggles with this question. Two hands are required for clapping, so one hand cannot clap. Yet students are instructed to find the answer not through logic, but through direct experience. Different teachers provide different responses when a student presents their understanding. But one underlying teaching is that the question itself is designed to exhaust the rational, discriminating mind. By struggling with an impossible question, the student eventually gives up the attempt to think their way to the answer. In that moment of surrender, a different kind of knowing becomes possible. This koan can illuminate our relationship with sleep. Trying to sleep is like trying to hear the sound of one hand clapping. The very effort prevents the outcome. Sleep requires the surrender of the conscious, controlling mind. It requires us to stop trying. Yet we cannot try to stop trying. That is still trying. We can only arrive at genuine surrender through the exhaustion of effort, through finally recognizing that our attempts are counterproductive. This recognition itself is the beginning of wisdom. It is not failure, but awakening. Not giving up, but giving in to what is larger and wiser than our small, controlling self. In your body right now, countless processes are occurring without your conscious direction. Your heart beats, your blood circulates, your cells replicate, your immune system guards against invaders, your digestive system extracts nutrients from food. You do not need to remember to do these things. Your body knows. It has ancient wisdom encoded in every cell, wisdom that predates your birth and will continue after your death. Sleep is part of this ancient wisdom. Your body knows how to sleep. You knew how to sleep as an infant before you had language, before you had the complex thinking mind that now sometimes keeps you awake. that knowing is still present. It has not been lost. It has only been obscured by the layers of thought, worry, and effort that you have added over the years. The invitation now is to trust your body's wisdom. To recognize that you do not need to manage or control the process of falling asleep. You can release the burden of responsibility for making sleep happen. Your body will sleep when conditions are right, just as your body digests food, heals wounds, and breathes without your intervention. Your role is simply to create favorable conditions: rest, darkness, stillness, acceptance, and then to trust. This trust is not passive resignation, but active faith in the wisdom of your own organism, the same wisdom that has sustained life on this planet for billions of years. Let us take a moment to honor this body that carries you through life. This miraculous collection of cells and systems that allows you to experience the world. Your body asks for so little: food, water, movement, rest, and gives so much. Every moment of your life, your body is working to maintain equilibrium, to heal damage, to adapt to changing conditions. Even when you have been unkind to it, pushed it beyond reasonable limits, ignored its signals, it continues faithfully serving you. As you lie here now, you can offer gratitude to your body. Thank your heart for its tireless beating. Thank your lungs for drawing breath. Thank your muscles for carrying you through the day, and now for releasing tension and allowing rest. Thank your mind for its incredible capacity to think, create, solve problems, even as you now invite it to rest from its labors. This gratitude is not merely a pleasant sentiment, it has a physiological effect. Research has shown that feelings of gratitude activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of the autonomic nervous system responsible for rest, digestion, and healing. When you consciously cultivate gratitude, you are literally sending signals to your body that it is safe to relax, safe to restore, safe to sleep. Conversely, worry and anxiety activate the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response that keeps you alert and ready for danger. Your body cannot distinguish between a true threat and an imagined one. When you lie awake worrying about tomorrow's meeting or replaying today's awkward conversation, your body responds as if you are facing a predator, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, keeping you vigilant and awake. By redirecting your attention to gratitude, to sensations, to breath, you interrupt this stress response. You send new signals: I am safe, I am supported, I am allowed to rest. These signals gradually shift your physiology from sympathetic to parasympathetic dominance. Heart rate slows, blood pressure decreases, digestive processes resume, muscles release chronic tension, the mind begins to quiet. These changes do not happen instantly or through force of will. They happen gradually, naturally, as you consistently redirect your attention away from threat and toward safety, away from rumination and toward presence. There was once a student who came to a Zen master complaining of constant anxiety. "My mind is always racing," the student said. "I cannot find peace. I have tried meditation, but even then my thoughts are chaotic. What can I do?" The master handed the student a cup filled to the brim with tea. "Carry this cup around the garden," he instructed. "But do not spill a single drop." The student carefully lifted the cup and began walking slowly through the garden, his entire attention focused on keeping the cup steady. After completing a circuit of the garden, he returned to the master. "How many thoughts did you have while walking?" the master asked. The student paused, realizing that his mind had been completely quiet, his full attention absorbed by the task of carrying the cup without spilling. "None," he admitted. "My mind was completely focused on the cup." The master smiled. "Your mind is not inherently chaotic. It is simply not trained. When you give it a task that requires your full attention, it becomes focused naturally. The problem is not your mind, but the fact that you give it nothing specific to attend to, so it attends to everything and nothing, jumping from thought to thought like a monkey leaping from branch to branch." This teaching points to a powerful practice for sleep, giving the mind a specific focus, This is why techniques like counting breaths or repeating a mantra can be effective. Not because there is magic in numbers or special words, but because they provide the monkey mind with a branch to hold, a place to rest its attention. As you lie here now, you might experiment with this approach. You could count your breaths from 1 to 10, then begin again. 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, 3 on the inhale, 4 on the exhale, continuing to 10, then starting over at 1. When you lose count, which you will as the mind wanders, simply begin again at 1 without judgment or frustration. The counting is not a test, it is simply a tool, a gentle guide for attention. Or you might focus on the sensation of breath in one particular location. The coolness at your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest, the expansion and contraction of your belly. Whenever attention wanders to thoughts, you gently guide it back to the chosen sensation. Another approach is to practice what is sometimes called body scanning. Beginning with your feet, bring your attention to the sensations there, not trying to create any particular sensation, simply noticing what is present. You might feel warmth or coolness, tingling, pressure, or perhaps no distinct sensation at all. Whatever you notice is fine. After a few breaths attending to your feet, allow your attention to move to your ankles, then your lower legs, then your knees, gradually moving up through your entire body. If you fall asleep before completing the scan, that is perfect. The practice succeeded. If you complete the entire body and remain awake, you can simply begin again or transition to another focus, such as the breath. Some find it helpful to use visualization. You might imagine a peaceful scene, a quiet beach with gentle waves, a calm forest with sunlight filtering through leaves, a mountain meadow filled with wildflowers. The key is to engage your senses in the visualization. Not just seeing the scene, but hearing the sounds, feeling the temperature and textures, perhaps smelling the scents. This multi-sensory engagement occupies the mind sufficiently that it has less capacity for worry and rumination. You are essentially giving your mind a pleasant place to wander rather than allowing it to wander into anxiety-provoking territories. Yet beneath all these techniques lies a more fundamental practice: acceptance. Acceptance of this moment, exactly as it is. Acceptance of yourself, exactly as you are. Acceptance of your experience, whatever it may be. This does not mean you cannot work to improve your sleep or reduce your stress. It means that in this particular moment, as you lie here now, you can cease the internal struggle. You can stop fighting against what is. You can allow this moment to be exactly what it is, without needing to change it or fix it or make it better. This is true peace, not the peace of perfect circumstances, but the peace of acceptance amidst all circumstances. There is a profound teaching in the Serenity Prayer, used widely in various spiritual traditions. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. As you lie here, unable to sleep in this moment, this prayer offers guidance. What can you change right now? You can adjust your physical position if uncomfortable. You can relax tense muscles. You can redirect your attention from worry to breath. You can choose thoughts of gratitude over thoughts of anxiety. These things are within your control, and you can exercise that control gently, without strain. What cannot you change in this moment? You cannot force sleep to arrive. You cannot undo the past or control the future. You cannot make thoughts stop arising. These things are beyond your control, and you can practice accepting them. The wisdom to know the difference comes from paying attention, from honest self-observation. When you notice yourself struggling against something unchangeable, you can recognize this and redirect your energy. When you notice an opportunity to make a skillful choice within your control, you can take that action. This discernment develops gradually through practice. You will sometimes find yourself struggling against the unchangeable or feeling powerless when you could act. This is natural and human. The practice is not about perfect execution, but about noticing when you have fallen into unskillful patterns and gently correcting course. In feudal Japan, there lived a young woman named Chiyo, who was known as one of the most talented poets in her region. She studied under a Zen master, and one day, while fetching water from the well, the bottom of her wooden bucket broke and all the water spilled out. In that moment, watching the water drain away, seeing the moon's reflection disappear from the bucket, Chiyo experienced a profound realization. She immediately composed a haiku. This way and that way, I tried to keep the bucket intact. Then the bottom fell out. No more water, no more moon in my hand. But oh, the sky reflected in the empty bucket is endless. This poem captures the essence of letting go. Chiyo had been trying desperately to preserve her bucket, to keep things as they were, to control her experience. When the bucket broke, when control became impossible, she discovered something far more valuable. The limitations of the bucket had actually been limiting her experience. Its breaking opened her to the boundless sky. We often live like Chiyo before her realization, desperately trying to keep our bucket intact, terrified of the breaking, the loss, the failure. We try to control our thoughts, our sleep, our lives, our relationships. We exhaust ourselves in this effort, and sometimes, despite all our trying, the bottom falls out. The thing we feared happens. We lie awake all night. We make the mistake. We lose what we cherished. In these moments, if we can stay present, rather than collapsing into despair, we may discover what Chiyo discovered, that what we thought was holding our experience was actually limiting it. When we finally release our grip on control, when we stop trying to keep the bucket intact, we discover the boundless sky. As you rest here now, you might ask yourself, what is my bucket? What am I desperately trying to hold together or control? Perhaps it is the attempt to control your thoughts, to ensure you sleep enough hours, to manage your tomorrow before it arrives. What would happen if the bottom fell out, if you completely released control? This is not a careless or reckless releasing. It is a wise releasing, recognizing that your grip was never as effective as you believed. The illusion of control costs tremendous energy. The acceptance of what is offers profound rest. Let us imagine together that you could fully embrace this moment of wakefulness, not as a problem to be solved, not as an enemy to be defeated, but as an opportunity to practice acceptance, to deepen your understanding of your own mind, to cultivate compassion for yourself in your struggle. What if this wakefulness is not happening to you, but for you? Not because you deserve punishment, or because something is wrong with you, but because this is the experience arising in your life right now. And every experience contains teachings if we are willing to receive them. The teaching of sleepless nights might be about releasing control, about trusting your body, about distinguishing between genuine concerns and mental habits of worry, about developing compassion for your own suffering, rather than adding judgment to discomfort. When we resist our experience, we add suffering to pain. Pain is the primary experience. Physical discomfort, tiredness, the neutral fact of wakefulness. Suffering is our response. This is terrible. Something is wrong with me. I will not be able to function tomorrow. This always happens. I will never sleep well. These thoughts amplify the primary experience, creating additional distress. The practice is to acknowledge the primary experience without adding the secondary layer of suffering. I notice I am awake. I notice thoughts are active. I notice some tiredness in my body. These are observations without judgment, descriptions without stories. This practice of non-judgmental observation is sometimes called mindfulness, sometimes called presence, sometimes called witness consciousness. Whatever name we give it, the practice is the same, observing what is without immediately reacting to it, without making it mean something about you, without spinning stories about future consequences. Just this, just now, just breathing, just lying here, just noticing. In this simple presence, there is actually profound peace available, even in the midst of sleeplessness. The peace is not dependent on being asleep. It is available right now, in this moment, exactly as you are. There is a story of two monks traveling together who came to a river with a strong current. On the bank stood a young woman in fine clothing, afraid to cross alone. The elder monk immediately offered to carry her across. He hoisted her onto his back and waded through the river, setting her safely on the other side. The two monks continued their journey. Hours later, the younger monk, who had been troubled and silent, finally spoke. "How could you do that? You know our order prohibits even touching women, yet you carried her across the river." The elder monk stopped walking and turned to his companion. "Brother," he said gently, "I set that woman down on the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story offers a teaching about mental burden. How often do we carry experiences long after they have ended? How often do we replay conversations, relive embarrassments, rehearse future confrontations? The event itself may have lasted minutes, but we carry it for hours, days, sometimes years. As you lie here, notice what you are carrying. Are you still in that meeting from earlier today, rehearsing what you should have said? Are you already in tomorrow's difficult conversation, preparing your defense? Are you reliving a moment from childhood that shaped how you see yourself? These mental time travels are exhausting. They drain your energy and occupy the space that sleep requires. The practice is to recognize when you have traveled from the present moment and to bring yourself back. Not with force or judgment, "I should not be thinking about this," but with gentle redirection. I notice I am thinking about tomorrow, right now, in this moment. I am lying in bed, breathing. Tomorrow is not here yet. Right now, I am safe. This is not denial of real concerns or responsibilities. If there is action you can take tomorrow to address a situation, you will take it. But taking that action now, in your mind, repeatedly, does not help. It only disturbs your rest. You can trust that tomorrow, when action is possible, you will know what to do. For now, you can set down the burden. Imagine yourself standing at the bank of a river, and imagine that each concern, each worry, each regret is a stone you have been carrying in a large sack. The sack is heavy, pulling on your shoulders, bending your back. Now imagine that you can reach into the sack, remove one stone at a time, and place it gently on the ground beside you. The stone still exists. You have not thrown it into the river. Denying its reality, you have simply set it down. It will be there in the morning if you need to pick it up again. But for now, for this time of rest, you can leave it resting on the bank while you yourself rest. With each exhale, you might imagine removing another stone. Concern about work performance, set it down. Worry about a family member's health, set it down. Anxiety about finances, set it down. Regret about a past decision, set it down. One by one, breath by breath, you lighten your load. You may notice that some stones you have been carrying are not even yours. They are concerns about what others think of you, expectations that were placed upon you but never agreed to, standards from your family or culture that you have never examined to see if they truly reflect your values. These stones especially can be set down, permanently if you choose, not just for the night. As the sack becomes lighter, notice the feeling in your body, your shoulders rising away from the heaviness, your back straightening, your breath deepening, your jaw unclenching. There is a physical release that accompanies mental release. The body and mind are not separate. What affects one affects the other. As you release mental burdens, your body responds by releasing physical tension. As your body relaxes, your mind finds it easier to settle. This is a benevolent cycle, each supporting the other, gradually spiraling down into deeper and deeper rest. In ancient China, there was a farmer whose only horse ran away. His neighbors came to express sympathy. "Such bad luck," they said. The farmer simply replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors gathered again, this time to celebrate. "Such good luck," they exclaimed. Again the farmer said only, "Maybe." The following day, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses and was thrown, breaking his leg. The neighbors returned to offer condolences. "Such bad luck," they lamented. The farmer repeated, "Maybe." A week later, military officials came to the village to conscript young men for a dangerous campaign. The farmer's son was passed over because of his broken leg. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on his good fortune. And the farmer said once more, "Maybe." This story teaches about the limits of our judgment and the futility of labeling experiences as good or bad. Events that seem unfortunate may lead to unexpected benefits. Situations that appear favorable may result in difficulties. We cannot know the full consequences of anything that happens. Our constant evaluation, "This is good, this is bad, I want more of this, I want less of that," exhausts us. As you lie here unable to sleep, your mind may be judging this as bad, as wrong, as a problem. But can you know? Perhaps this wakefulness is allowing something to process, some stress to discharge, some insight to emerge. Perhaps tomorrow you will understand why you needed to lie here quietly, allowing thoughts to arise and pass. Perhaps not. Perhaps the purpose will never be clear. Can you say maybe to this experience? Saying maybe is a way of holding your experience lightly rather than gripping it tightly. It is acknowledging that you do not have complete understanding, that mystery is acceptable, that not everything needs to be figured out or controlled or made sense of. When you lie awake and your mind says, "This is terrible, I must fix this, I must sleep immediately," you can respond internally, "Maybe. Maybe this is exactly what needs to be happening right now." This is not passive resignation to suffering, but active curiosity about your experience. It is trading the exhausting stance of resistance for the restful stance of allowing. Let your attention now rest on your breath once more. Notice that your breath has continued throughout this entire time without your management. It has faithfully sustained you while your attention wandered through thoughts, through stories, through worries. Your breath is always here, always available, always welcoming your attention back. It does not judge you for wandering. It simply receives you when you return. In the same way, this present moment is always here, always available, always ready to receive your attention whenever you notice you have drifted into past or future. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. It has its own natural pace, its own wisdom. You do not need to change it or control it. Simply observe it. Notice the subtle pause at the top of the inhale, the moment of fullness before the exhale begins. Notice the subtle pause at the end of the exhale, the moment of emptiness before the next inhale arises. These pauses are like small moments of stopping, of resting, of letting go. With each exhale, you are practicing letting go, releasing the breath, trusting that the next breath will come. You have taken millions of breaths in your life, and the next breath has always come. You can trust this rhythm. Now, if you wish, you can deepen your relaxation by bringing attention systematically through your body. Begin with your feet. Without moving them, simply bring your awareness to your feet. Notice any sensations present, perhaps warmth where they contact the bedding, perhaps coolness where they are exposed to air, perhaps tingling, or perhaps simple neutrality. Now, with your attention on your feet, imagine that with your next exhale, you are breathing out through your feet, releasing any tension held there, allowing them to become heavy and relaxed. Feel your feet sinking into rest, supported completely, no effort required. Allow your attention to move to your lower legs, your calves and shins. Again, notice sensations without trying to create any particular feeling. Then, with your exhale, imagine breathing out through your lower legs, releasing tension, allowing heaviness and relaxation. The muscles that have worked all day to support you, to carry you, can now fully rest. Move your attention to your knees, then to your thighs. These large muscles that power your movement can soften completely now. No work to do, nowhere to go, nothing to support. Just resting, sinking, releasing. Bring your awareness to your hips and pelvic area. This is often a place where tension accumulates unconsciously. See if you can soften here, allowing your hip joints to release, your pelvic floor to relax. Breathe out through this area, letting go. Move to your lower back, a region where many people hold stress and tension. Without trying to force anything, simply bring kind attention here. Perhaps imagine warmth spreading through your lower back, muscles softening, spine supported by the surface beneath you. Then your abdomen, allowing your belly to be soft, releasing any holding or tightening around your middle. Continue up through your chest and upper back. As you bring attention to your chest, notice your heart beating, that faithful rhythm that has sustained you since before you were born, that will continue until your last moment. Send gratitude to your heart. Allow the muscles around your ribcage to release their grip, allowing breath to flow more freely. Your shoulders now, those holders of the world's weight. Let them drop away from your ears, releasing down toward the earth. Feel the space this creates in your neck. Down your arms now, from shoulders to elbows, to wrists, to hands. Allow your arms to be heavy, supported completely by the surface beneath them. Your hands can open like flowers, fingers gently curling in their natural resting position. No need to hold or grip anything. Your neck, that bridge between mind and body, can soften and release. Bring attention to your throat, allowing any tightness to dissolve. Your jaw, so often clenched unconsciously, can relax completely, teeth slightly parted, tongue resting softly in your mouth. The muscles of your face, which have held countless expressions throughout the day, can now become smooth and soft. Your forehead, releasing any furrows. Your eyebrows, releasing any tension. Your eyes, already closed, can relax even more deeply into their sockets, as if they were sinking back into your head. Your cheeks, your lips, even your ears, all softening. Finally, the top of your head and your scalp. Any remaining tension dissolving and draining away, your entire body now resting, supported, heavy, relaxed. Scan through your body one more time, noticing if any area is still holding tension, and if so, breathing into that area, allowing it to join the rest of your body in complete relaxation. In this state of physical relaxation, the mind naturally begins to quiet. The body and mind are intimately connected. When the body releases, the mind follows. You may notice that thoughts are becoming more dreamlike, less linear and logical. Images may float through your awareness. This is the mind beginning its transition towards sleep. You do not need to do anything with these images or fragmented thoughts. Simply allow them to drift through like clouds across the sky of your awareness. Some may be pleasant, some may be neutral, some may be slightly disturbing. All are equally welcome. None are problems. They are simply phenomena arising and passing in consciousness. If at any point you notice yourself becoming more alert, perhaps as a thought captures your attention and draws you into engagement with it, this is not a problem. You have not failed. You simply notice, acknowledge what happened, and gently return to your anchor, your breath, the sensations in your body, the practice of allowing. Each time you notice and return is actually a moment of success, a strengthening of your capacity for presence. The practice is not about never wandering. The mind will wander. This is its nature, but about noticing when you have wandered and choosing to return. This choosing to return, done again and again with patience and without judgment, is the heart of the practice. Think of training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you do not beat it or yell at it. You simply call it back gently. Come, come. The puppy returns, and you praise it. Then it wanders again, as puppies do, and again, you call it back gently, with patience and kindness. Over time, the puppy learns. It still wanders, but it returns more quickly, more readily. Eventually, it stays by your side more often, wandering less frequently, and less far. Your mind is like this puppy. It wanders because this is what minds do, especially minds conditioned by our fast-paced, distraction-filled culture. But with patient, gentle training, your mind will learn to rest in presence more readily and more deeply. There was once a student of meditation who became frustrated with his practice. "I have been meditating for months," he complained to his teacher. "But my mind is just as chaotic as when I began. I have made no progress." The teacher asked him, "When you first started meditating, how long would it take you to notice your mind had wandered from the breath?" The student considered. "I would often meditate for 10 or 15 minutes before realizing I had been lost in thought the entire time." "And now?" the teacher asked. "Now I notice within seconds," the student replied. The teacher smiled. "That is your progress. You have not stopped the wandering. That is not the goal. You have developed the capacity to notice when you have wandered, and this noticing itself is awakening." This teaching applies directly to your practice of preparing for sleep. You may notice your mind wandering into worry, into planning, into rumination. Previously, you might have been lost in these thoughts for hours without awareness. Now, you notice, "I am thinking about tomorrow. I am worrying about that conversation. I am replaying that interaction." This noticing is the awakening. From noticing, you can choose. Do you want to continue thinking about tomorrow, or do you want to return to the present moment? There is no right or wrong answer, only a choice. If the thinking is productive, perhaps you need a few minutes to work through something. But more often, you will recognize that the thinking is repetitive, unproductive, simply a habit of mind. And you can choose to return to breath, to body, to presence. Some nights, the return to presence will feel easier, more natural. Other nights, the pull of thoughts will be stronger, and you will find yourself returning again and again and again. This variability is normal. It does not indicate that you are failing or regressing. Many factors affect the mind's activity level: what you ate, how you exercised, what stress you experienced during the day, hormonal fluctuations, sleep debt from previous nights, even the weather. You cannot control all these factors. What you can control is your response. On difficult nights when the mind is particularly active, you can practice patience with yourself. You can recognize this as a night to strengthen your capacity for returning, for choosing presence again and again despite the mind's resistance. There is value in difficult practices. On nights when presence comes easily, you are resting but not necessarily strengthening your capacity. On nights when returning to presence requires effort, when you must choose it repeatedly, you are building mental muscles that will serve you not only in sleep but in all areas of life. You are learning that you are not at the mercy of your mind's activity, that you can choose where to place your attention regardless of what thoughts are arising. This is a powerful realization, one that extends far beyond the bedroom into every aspect of your experience. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called kinhin, or walking meditation. After a period of sitting meditation, practitioners stand and walk very slowly, coordinating each step with their breath. The purpose is to bring the same quality of attention cultivated in sitting meditation into movement. This practice teaches that presence is not limited to stillness. It can accompany you through all activities. Similarly, the practice you are developing here, the capacity to recognize when your mind has wandered and to return to the present, is not limited to preparing for sleep. It is a capacity you can carry into your entire life. When you notice yourself lost in worry during the day, you can recognize it and return to what is actually happening in the present moment. When you notice yourself replaying a past hurt for the 100th time, you can acknowledge this and choose to return to now. When you notice yourself trying to control things outside your control, you can recognize this and release your grip. The practice is the same. Notice, acknowledge, return. Notice, acknowledge, return. Again and again, with patience and self-compassion, bringing yourself back to the only moment that ever actually exists, this one. As you continue resting here, you might become aware of sounds in your environment. Perhaps the hum of electronics, the sound of wind, distant traffic, another person breathing, your own heartbeat. Rather than treating these sounds as disturbances or distractions, you can include them in your field of awareness. You do not need to block them out or push them away. Simply let them be part of the soundscape of this moment. Sounds arise and pass away, just like thoughts. They come and go according to their nature. You do not need to follow each sound, identifying it, judging it as pleasant or unpleasant. You can simply let sounds wash over you like waves, arising and dissolving in the space of your awareness. This practice of allowing sounds to simply be sounds without the need to identify or react to them is another form of letting go. We habitually identify everything we experience. That's a car, that's the refrigerator, that's my neighbor. This identifying is the thinking mind's attempt to maintain control, to know and name everything in its domain. But you can rest from this constant identification. You can allow sounds to remain simply sounds, vibrations in the air, neither good nor bad, neither helpful nor harmful, just phenomena arising in consciousness. This is deeply restful for the mind, this releasing of the need to identify and categorize. There is a teaching in Buddhism about the 6 sense doors: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These are called doors because they are the portals through which experience enters. Most of the time, we are not guarding these doors. Experiences come in, and we react immediately, automatically, without awareness. We see something and instantly like or dislike it. We hear something and instantly judge it. We think something and instantly believe it or reject it. The practice is to become the guardian of these doors, not to lock them. We cannot stop experience from arising, but to be present as experience enters, to notice it before we react to it. As you lie here, you are practicing being the guardian of your sense doors. Thoughts arise, the mind door. Rather than immediately believing them or fighting them, you notice. A thought has arisen. Sounds occur, the ear door. Rather than immediately identifying and judging them, you notice. A sound has arisen. Sensations appear in your body, the body door. Rather than immediately reacting, you notice. A sensation has arisen. This noticing creates a small space between the experience and your reaction to it. In that space lies freedom. In that space, you can choose how to respond rather than simply reacting from habit. This practice of guarding the sense doors is particularly powerful with the mind door, with thoughts. We have so identified with our thoughts that we often do not recognize them as separate from ourselves. We think, I am a failure, and we do not see this as a thought arising at the mind door. We see it as truth, as reality, as who we are, but it is just a thought, just a mental event, just neurons firing in a particular pattern. It arises at the mind door like any other experience. When you can recognize it as such, the thought, I am a failure, has arisen. You are no longer fused with it. You are the awareness observing the thought, not the thought itself. This distinction is liberating. Many of our most painful thoughts lose their power when we relate to them in this way. I will never sleep is a thought, not a prophecy. Something is wrong with me is a thought, not a fact. I cannot handle tomorrow is a thought, not truth. Each of these thoughts arises at the mind door, and you can choose to notice them as thoughts rather than believing them as reality. This does not mean they are never reflecting something true. Sometimes our thoughts do correspond to reality. But even when they do, relating to them first as thoughts, as mental events, before deciding whether they are accurate, gives us space and choice. Imagine your mind as a vast screen, like a movie screen in a theatre. Thoughts, images, memories, fantasies, fears, all of these are projected onto the screen. We typically become absorbed in what is being projected, forgetting that we are the screen, not the movie. We identify with the characters, feel their emotions, believe their stories. The practice is to recognize yourself not as the content of the movie, but as the screen itself. The screen is not affected by what is projected on it. A fire on screen does not burn the screen. A storm on screen does not wet the screen. In the same way, thoughts and emotions arise in your awareness, but they do not fundamentally affect the awareness itself. You are that awareness, that screen, spacious and unchanging, allowing all experiences to arise and pass without being damaged or diminished by them. This perspective can bring tremendous peace. When you recognize yourself as awareness rather than as the content of awareness, you realize that you are essentially untouchable. Difficult thoughts can arise, uncomfortable emotions can surface, yet at your core, you remain whole and undamaged. This is not spiritual bypassing, not a denial of real pain or suffering. It is a recognition that you are larger than any particular experience, that no single thought or emotion or circumstance can define you completely. You contain multitudes. You are vast enough to hold all of your experience, even the most difficult parts. As you rest in this awareness, you might notice that your relationship to your sleeplessness shifts. Previously, it may have felt like a personal failure, a problem that meant something bad about you. Now, you might see it as simply an experience arising in awareness. Not pleasant, perhaps, but also not a catastrophe. Not a sign of fundamental brokenness, but simply a state of wakefulness occurring in this moment. This shift in perspective does not magically produce sleep, but it does reduce the suffering that comes from resisting wakefulness. And paradoxically, when you stop fighting wakefulness, sleep often naturally arrives, as if it was only your resistance that was keeping it away. There is a famous exchange in Zen literature where a student asks the master, "What is enlightenment?" The master replies, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The student is confused. But doesn't everyone do this? The master shakes his head. No. When hungry, most people think 1,000 thoughts while eating. When tired, most people worry and plan rather than sleeping. This teaching points to the profound simplicity of living in accordance with what is. When the body is hungry, eat. When the body is tired, sleep. Do not complicate it with mental elaboration. Do not add stories and judgments. Simply respond to what is needed in this moment. You might wonder, but I am tired, and I am lying here attempting to sleep. Why is it not happening? The teaching would suggest that there is still mental activity preventing the natural process. You are not simply being tired and allowing sleep. You are being tired and also worrying about being tired, judging yourself for not sleeping, anticipating tomorrow's consequences of poor sleep, trying to force sleep to arrive. All of this mental activity, though understandable, interferes with the simple, natural process of falling asleep. The practice is to subtract all this extra activity. Just be tired. Just lie here. Just breathe. Nothing more is required. This subtraction is not easy for most of us. We are so conditioned to add effort, to try, to manage and control. The idea of doing less, of subtracting effort rather than adding it, feels counterintuitive. Yet this is precisely what is needed. You cannot try your way into sleep. You can only allow sleep to take you. This allowing is active in a sense. You are actively practicing acceptance, actively redirecting attention, actively releasing tension. But it is not striving. There is a quality of surrender in it, of yielding rather than pushing. This is a skill worth developing. This capacity to distinguish between skillful effort and unhelpful striving. Skillful effort is creating conditions for sleep, darkening the room, lying down, relaxing the body, focusing attention. Unhelpful striving is trying to force the outcome, demanding sleep appear, becoming angry when it does not, catastrophizing about the consequences. Skillful effort plants the garden and waters the seeds. Unhelpful striving tries to pull the plant out of the ground to make it grow faster. One works with natural processes, the other fights against them. As you lie here, you can ask yourself, Am I working with my body's natural wisdom, or am I fighting against it? If you notice striving, you can smile at yourself with compassion. Of course you are striving. You want to sleep. You are tired. Striving makes sense. But now that you notice it, you can make a different choice. You can release the striving and return to simple allowing. In ancient times, a king was plagued by insomnia. He called for the wisest physicians and scholars in the land to cure his condition. They brought expensive medicines, elaborate sleeping chambers, complex rituals, but nothing helped. Finally, a simple shepherd was brought before the king. "I hear you cannot sleep," the shepherd said. "I have no medicine or technique to offer, but I can share what works for me. Each night before sleep, I count my sheep, not to accomplish anything or reach any number, but simply because the counting occupies my mind with something boring and repetitive. My thoughts have no drama to attach to. Eventually, my mind becomes bored with the counting, and I drift into sleep." The king tried this practice, and indeed, he found it helpful. But more importantly, he learned the lesson beneath the technique. The mind needs to be given something to do that is neutral and boring, or it will entertain itself with exciting worries and plans. Counting sheep, counting breaths, repeating a meaningless phrase, focusing on a single sensation. All of these work on the same principle. They occupy the mind with something that has no emotional charge, giving it a job that satisfies its need for activity without stimulating it with interesting content. You can experiment with this now if you wish. You might count your breaths from 1 to 10 repeatedly, or you might repeat a simple phrase with each breath, breathing in, breathing out, or you might focus on the sensation of your belly rising and falling, or you might imagine yourself counting down from 100, visualizing each number before moving to the next. The specific technique matters less than the principle. Give your mind something simple, repetitive, and neutral to attend to. This satisfies its need for activity while gently boring it towards sleep. As you practice whichever technique you choose, remember that the goal is not to maintain perfect focus. Your mind will wander. This is certain. You might count to 4 and suddenly find yourself thinking about tomorrow's schedule. This is not failure. This is the mind doing what minds do. The practice is noticing that your mind has wandered and bringing it back to the counting, the breathing, the sensations. Each time you notice and return, you are succeeding. You are strengthening your capacity for awareness and choice. Over time, the wandering becomes less frequent and you return more quickly. But even if this takes months or years, each moment of noticing and returning is valuable. There is no destination to reach, no perfect state to achieve. This very moment, exactly as it is the practice. Lying here, breathing, returning attention again and again to your chosen focus. This is not preparation for something else. This is it. This is the practice. And within this practice, if sleep comes, welcome it. If sleep does not come, that is also acceptable. You are practicing something valuable regardless, the capacity to be present with your experience, to respond to your mind's wandering with patience rather than frustration, to offer yourself compassion in the midst of difficulty. This compassion toward yourself is perhaps the most important element of all. Much of our suffering around sleep comes from self-judgment. I should be able to sleep. Everyone else can sleep. Something is wrong with me. These harsh judgments add suffering to the primary difficulty. You would not judge a friend harshly for struggling to sleep. You would offer understanding, sympathy, encouragement. Can you offer yourself the same kindness? Can you place one hand on your heart and silently say, "This is difficult. It's okay that I'm struggling. I'm doing the best I can." Self-compassion is not self-pity or self-indulgence. It is simply treating yourself with the same kindness you would naturally offer a good friend. Research has shown that self-compassion is associated with lower anxiety, less rumination, and better sleep. When we are harsh with ourselves, our nervous system remains activated, defensive. When we are kind to ourselves, our nervous system can relax. So as you lie here, if you notice harsh self-judgment arising, you can consciously choose to respond differently. You can acknowledge the judgment. I notice I'm being harsh with myself, and then offer a kind alternative. I'm struggling, and that's human. I'm doing my best. Let us take a moment now to practice a specific form of self-compassion. Place one or both hands over your heart. Feel the warmth of your hand, the gentle rise and fall of your chest with each breath. Now, silently offer yourself these phrases, or similar ones in your own words. May I be peaceful. May I be at ease. May I accept myself as I am in this moment. May I be kind to myself in my struggle. Repeat these phrases several times, allowing them to sink in. Notice how your body responds. You might feel softening, warming, easing, or you might feel resistance, a part of you that says you do not deserve kindness or that this is silly. Whatever arises is okay. Simply notice it and continue offering yourself these kind wishes. This practice, adapted from Buddhist loving-kindness meditation, can be deeply soothing. You are not trying to manufacture feelings of peace or ease. You are simply expressing an intention, a wish for your own well-being. Even if the feelings do not come immediately, the act of wishing yourself well has value. You are training your mind in a new direction, away from self-criticism and towards self-care. Over time, this training reshapes your relationship with yourself. You become less of an adversary and more of a friend to yourself. And this friendship with yourself is perhaps the most important relationship you will ever have. There was once a monk who spent years in intense practice, meditating for many hours each day, disciplining himself severely, trying to achieve enlightenment through sheer force of will. Despite his efforts, he felt no closer to his goal. He was exhausted, frustrated, and beginning to despair. His teacher observed all of this and one day asked him, "Before you became a monk, you were a musician, were you not? You played the stringed instrument, the biwa." The monk confirmed this was true. The teacher continued, "What happens if you tighten the strings of your biwa too much?" The monk replied, "They break." "And what happens if the strings are too loose?" "They make no sound." The teacher smiled. "Then you know what to do." The practice is like tuning your instrument, not too tight, not too loose, but just right. This teaching about the middle way applies perfectly to sleep. If you are too tight, too effortful, too demanding of yourself, too controlling, you will break, or at minimum, you will prevent sleep from arriving. If you are too loose, not creating any supportive conditions, not making any effort to focus attention, completely passive, you also will not find rest, at least not deep, restorative rest. The middle way is creating good conditions and then releasing attachment to outcomes. It is making gentle effort and then allowing. It is being engaged and relaxed simultaneously. This is the art to cultivate. How do you know if you have found the right tuning? By paying attention to your experience. If you notice strain, tightness, frustration, you are probably too tight. Ease back. Release some effort. Soften. If you notice spacing out, losing focus completely, wandering endlessly without any anchor, you might be too loose. Gently gather your attention. Return to your breath or chosen focus. The right balance will feel sustainable. You could maintain it indefinitely without exhaustion. There is alertness without tension, relaxation without dullness. As you continue practicing, you will develop sensitivity to this balance point. You will recognize more quickly when you have tipped too far in either direction, and you will know how to correct. This sensitivity is valuable far beyond sleep. In all areas of life, finding the middle way between striving and passivity, between discipline and ease, between engagement and detachment, this is the path of wisdom. Too much effort creates suffering. Too little effort creates stagnation. The middle way, creates growth and peace. Now, let your awareness rest once more in your breath. Notice that your breath has been with you throughout all of these teachings, all of these stories, all of these practices. It has continued faithfully, sustaining your life, asking nothing in return. Your breath is perhaps the most reliable companion you have. It is always present, always available, always accepting of your attention. No matter how many times your mind wanders away, your breath welcomes you back without judgment. It is always here, this very moment, ready to anchor you in the present. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils, flowing down into your lungs. Feel the pause at the top of the breath, the moment of fullness. Feel the warm air leaving your body, the gentle emptying. Feel the pause at the bottom of the breath, the moment of openness before the next breath arrives. Your breath moves in cycles, like the cycles of nature. Day and night, seasons turning, tides rising and falling. You are part of these natural rhythms, not separate from them. Your breath connects you to all breathing beings, to the vast web of life on this planet. With each inhale, you are taking in air that has circled the globe, air that has been breathed by countless others before you. With each exhale, you are releasing air that will be taken in by trees, by plants, by other beings. You are participating in an ancient exchange, a planetary breath that has sustained life for millions of years. This perspective can help you feel less isolated in your struggle. You are not alone. You are intimately connected to all of life through this simple, continuous process of breathing. Your breath connects you to your ancestors, to future generations, to all beings sharing this moment on Earth. As you rest in this awareness of connection, you might feel a sense of belonging, of being held by something larger than yourself. You might experience a subtle shift from the feeling of being a small, isolated self, struggling alone, to the feeling of being part of a vast, interconnected whole. This shift can bring deep comfort. You do not have to figure everything out alone. You do not have to control everything. You are part of a living system that has wisdom far beyond your individual understanding. You can trust this larger wisdom. This trust is not blind or naive. It is based on observation. Throughout your life, your body has known how to heal wounds, fight infections, digest food, grow from child to adult. You did not have to consciously direct any of these processes. Your body knew. It had wisdom encoded in millions of years of evolution. Sleep is part of this ancient wisdom. Your body knows how to sleep. You do not need to teach it or force it. You simply need to remove the obstacles, the tension, the worry, the struggle, and trust the natural process to unfold. This trust itself can be deeply relaxing, releasing you from the burden of trying to control something that cannot be controlled. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a concept called upaya, which means skillful means. It refers to the understanding that different teachings and practices are appropriate for different people at different times. What works for one person might not work for another. What helps in one moment might not help in another. Therefore, rigidity is unskillful. Flexibility and responsiveness are wisdom. This teaching suggests that you experiment with the various practices offered here to discover what resonates with you, what helps you, what feels right in your body and mind. Some people find counting breaths helpful. Others find it irritating. Some people relax through body scanning. Others become more alert. Some find visualization soothing. Others find it stimulating. There is no one right way. Your task is to become a compassionate, curious investigator of your own experience. Try different approaches. Notice what happens. Keep what helps. Release what does not. Trust your own direct experience more than any external authority. You are the expert on your own inner life. No one else can tell you what you need. You must discover this for yourself. This invitation to self-discovery extends beyond techniques for sleep. It is an invitation to a different way of living, one where you are guided by internal wisdom rather than external shoulds. So much suffering comes from trying to fit ourselves into someone else's idea of how we should be, what we should do, how we should sleep, work, love, live. The practice is learning to listen to your own inner knowing, the quiet voice beneath all the noise, the wisdom that emerges when you create space and silence. This voice might tell you that you need less caffeine or more movement during the day. It might tell you that certain relationships drain you, or that certain activities nourish you. It might tell you to rest when others push productivity, or to act when others counsel passivity. Learning to hear and trust this inner voice is a lifelong practice. It requires that you create space for listening. Lying here quietly, without distraction, is such a space. Even if sleep does not come, this time is valuable for developing your capacity to listen inwardly. What is your body telling you? What does your deeper self know? What wisdom is trying to emerge if you can become still enough to hear it? These questions cannot be answered through thinking. They are answered through sensing, through feeling, through allowing something to arise from the quiet depths. As you lie here now, see if you can drop beneath the layer of thinking mind to a deeper layer of awareness. Imagine your thinking mind is like waves on the surface of the ocean. These waves are always moving, always changing, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. Beneath the waves is the deeper ocean, vast and still. The surface may be disturbed, but the depths remain peaceful. You can learn to rest in these depths, to identify with the still ocean rather than with the changing waves. Your thoughts continue, like waves continue, but you recognize yourself as the vast depth, not the surface movement. From this deeper place, thoughts can be observed with some distance. There is a thought about tomorrow's meeting. There is anxiety arising. There is a memory surfacing. You are not denying these thoughts or pushing them away. You are simply recognizing them as weather patterns on the surface while you rest in the depths. This perspective brings peace, not because thoughts stop, they may not, but because you are no longer tossed about by every thought and feeling. You have found stable ground or stable depth from which to observe the ever-changing patterns of your mind. There is a story of a Zen student who asked his master, "What did you do before you were enlightened?" The master replied, "I chopped wood and carried water." The student then asked, "What did you do after you became enlightened?" The master smiled and said, "I chopped wood and carried water." The student was confused. "What is the difference then?" The master explained, "Before, when I chopped wood, I was thinking about carrying water. When I carried water, I was thinking about chopping wood. After, when I chop wood, I chop wood. When I carry water, I carry water." This story captures the essence of presence. Enlightenment is not some special state where everything changes. It is simply being fully present with whatever you are doing. Before presence, when you lie down to sleep, you are thinking about yesterday and tomorrow. You are anywhere but here. After developing presence, when you lie down to sleep, you lie down to sleep. You are fully here, fully now. This simple shift is profound. It is the difference between suffering and peace, between resistance and acceptance, between fragmentation and wholeness. As you lie here now, can you practice being fully here? Not trying to get somewhere else, not wishing this moment were different, simply being fully present with this experience of lying here, breathing, existing. Your mind may say, "But I want to be asleep, not awake." This is the voice of the part of you that is not yet fully present. The present moment never argues with itself, it simply is. Wanting to be somewhere else, in some other state, is what takes you out of the present moment. The practice is to come back again and again. Right now, I am lying here. This is what is happening. Can I be fully here with this, exactly as it is? This does not mean you cannot have preferences or intentions. You can prefer sleep over wakefulness. You can intend to create conditions for sleep. But in this moment, if wakefulness is what is present, can you be fully present with wakefulness, rather than spending all your energy wishing it were otherwise? This is acceptance, and acceptance is not resignation. It is clear seeing. It is acknowledging what is true right now, while remaining open to change. It is saying yes to this moment while still moving in the direction of your intention. Imagine you are traveling to a destination. You are on a train, heading toward your goal. Acceptance is looking out the window and acknowledging where you are right now. Right now, I am passing through this landscape. This is where I am. Resistance is refusing to look out the window, insisting that you should already be at your destination, becoming angry that the train is not moving faster. Both travelers are on the same train, moving toward the same destination, but one is suffering and one is at peace. The difference is acceptance of the present moment while trusting the journey. You are on a journey towards sleep. You may not be there yet, but you are on the path. Each practice you engage in, relaxing your body, focusing your breath, releasing thoughts, offering yourself compassion, each of these is moving you in the direction of sleep. Trust this. Trust that the body knows what to do, that the practices are working even if you cannot see immediate results, that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment. This trust allows you to relax more deeply, which ironically brings you closer to sleep. The path to sleep is paved with trust and acceptance, not with effort and control. Let yourself sink more deeply into rest now. Feel the surface beneath you supporting your weight completely. You can release all muscular effort. You do not need to hold yourself up or maintain any particular position. Just let yourself be held, supported, sustained. Feel gravity pulling gently on your body, grounding you to the earth. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. There is nowhere else you need to go, nothing else you need to do. This time is yours. This rest is yours. No one is judging you. No one is keeping score. You can simply be exactly as you are. As you rest in this supported state, you might become aware of a quality of softness pervading your experience. Not just physical softness, though your muscles are soft and relaxed, but a softness of mind, a releasing of hard edges, a melting of boundaries. The boundary between sleeping and waking begins to blur. You are not quite awake in the ordinary sense, but perhaps not yet fully asleep. This liminal state, this threshold between states, is actually a beautiful and useful place to rest. You do not need to rush through it to get to sleep. You can linger here, enjoying the softness, the quiet, the peace. This threshold state is where creativity often arises, where insights bubble up from the unconscious, where the busy thinking mind has begun to quiet, but awareness is still present. Many artists, writers, inventors, and mystics have valued this state, this edge between waking and sleeping. Thomas Edison would sometimes nap in a chair holding ball bearings, which would fall and wake him when he drifted too far into sleep, allowing him to stay in this creative threshold state. You need not go to such lengths, but you can appreciate this state if you find yourself in it. It is not failure to sleep. It is its own valuable experience. In this threshold state, images may arise, dreamlike and flowing. You need not analyze them or make sense of them. Simply allow them to come and go like clouds drifting across sky. Some may be memories. Some may be fantasies. Some may be completely abstract. All are welcome. None are problems. Your thinking mind is beginning to relax its grip, and the deeper mind, the unconscious, is starting to express itself. This is a sign that you are moving in the right direction, that the conditions for sleep are being established. Trust this process. Allow it to unfold in its own time and its own way. There was once a teacher who told her students about two types of effort in practice. The first is the effort of striving. of pushing forward toward a goal, like climbing a mountain. This effort has its place, especially in the beginning, when you are establishing new habits and learning new skills. The second is the effort of allowing, of creating conditions, and then stepping back, like tending a garden. You prepare the soil, plant seeds, provide water and sunlight, but then you must allow nature to do its work. You cannot make the plants grow through force. You can only create conditions and then trust the process. In your sleep practice, there is a time for striving effort, establishing a regular sleep schedule, creating a dark and quiet bedroom, learning practices for relaxation. But then there is a time for allowing effort, lying down, practicing what you have learned, and then trusting your body to sleep. Many people stay in striving mode even in bed, trying to force sleep to come. This is like digging up your seeds every day to check if they are growing. It disrupts the natural process. The practice is to learn when to switch from striving to allowing, from doing to being, from controlling to trusting. Right now, this is a time for allowing effort. You have created conditions for sleep. You have lain down. You have practiced relaxation and focus. Now is the time to trust, to release control, to allow your body's wisdom to take over. If you notice yourself trying to force sleep, gently remind yourself, I have done what I can do. Now I trust the process. I allow my body to do what it knows how to do. This reminder helps you shift from striving mode to allowing mode. It releases the tension of trying and opens the space for sleep to naturally arrive. Some find it helpful to use imagery to facilitate this shift from striving to allowing. You might imagine yourself standing at the edge of a gentle river. You have been trying to swim upstream, fighting against the current, exhausting yourself. Now, you turn around. You lie back in the water and allow the current to carry you. You are not drowning or losing control. You are floating, supported by the water, gently moving with the natural flow. This is allowing. This is trust. This is surrender, not to death or defeat, but to the larger forces that sustain life. You can float on this river of sleep, supported, carried, safe. Or you might imagine yourself as a leaf falling from a tree in autumn. You do not resist the falling. You do not try to fly back up to the branch. You simply release and drift down through the air, slowly, gently, eventually coming to rest on the soft ground. This is how you can allow yourself to drift into sleep. No resistance, no grasping, simply releasing and falling, falling, falling into rest. The ground will catch you. You will be safe. You can trust the falling. Or perhaps you imagine yourself in a small boat on a calm lake at twilight. The water is smooth like glass. The sky is deepening into shades of purple and blue. Stars are beginning to appear. You lie down in the boat and let it drift. You are not steering or paddling. You are simply drifting, rocking gently on the water's subtle movement. The boat knows where to go. The water knows how to hold you. You can rest completely, trusting the elements to care for you. This is the quality of trust we are cultivating. Trust in the natural process. Trust in the body's wisdom. Trust in the conditions you have created. Trust that you will be okay, regardless of how much you sleep tonight. This last point is important. So much of the anxiety around sleep comes from the belief that if you do not sleep enough, something terrible will happen. You will not be able to function. You will fail at work. You will be miserable. While it is true that chronic sleep deprivation has real consequences, one night of poor sleep, or even several nights, will not destroy you. Humans are remarkably resilient. Your body has backup systems. Tomorrow, even if you sleep little tonight, you will get through the day. It may not be your best day, but you will survive. The next night, you will likely sleep better as your body compensates. The body is always working to return to balance. Understanding this can reduce the pressure you place on each night's sleep. If tonight is not perfect, that is okay. Tomorrow is another opportunity. This week is another chance. You are not in a crisis unless you make it one through your thoughts. Right now, you are safe. You are alive. You are breathing. Everything else is manageable. This perspective allows you to relax around sleep rather than making it into a high-stakes emergency every night. When you lower the stakes, you paradoxically sleep better because the pressure that keeps you awake is reduced. Let this understanding settle into your body now. Feel the release that comes from knowing that tonight's sleep is not life or death. It is simply one night. You can handle whatever comes. You have handled difficult nights before, and you will handle future difficult nights if they come. Right now, you can simply be here, practicing presence, offering yourself compassion, trusting the process. Whatever happens is workable. You are resourceful and resilient. You will be okay. In Zen practice, there is an understanding that enlightenment and delusion are not two separate things. They are two sides of the same coin, two perspectives on the same reality. What changes is not reality itself, but your relationship to it. In the same way, sleepfulness and sleeplessness are not two entirely different states. They are points on a continuum of consciousness. What changes is your relationship to your state. When you stop fighting wakefulness, when you accept it with peace, the experience of wakefulness changes. It becomes less torturous, less problematic. And often, this acceptance itself allows the shift into sleep. You might notice that as we have been exploring these teachings, time has been passing without your tracking it closely. You do not know exactly how long you have been lying here. This loss of time tracking is a sign that you are entering a different state of consciousness, one less bound by the linear time of waking life. In sleep, time functions differently. Hours can feel like minutes or minutes like hours. This relaxation of time sense often precedes sleep. If you are experiencing this, it is a good sign. You are moving in the right direction. Trust this movement. Allow your attention to return once more to your breath. Let everything else fade into the background, thoughts, sounds, sensations, and bring your full attention to the simple experience of breathing. In, out, in, out. Feel the rhythm, the flow, the ease. Your breath is always in the present moment. It is never in the past or future. When you are with your breath, you are fully present. And when you are fully present, you are at peace, because all suffering exists either in remembering what was or imagining what might be. This moment, right now, is actually almost always okay. It is our thoughts about past and future that create suffering. So stay with this breath, and this one, and this one. Each breath is complete in itself. Each breath is an opportunity to be fully present, fully here, fully at peace. You do not need a better breath or a different breath. This breath, exactly as it is enough. You do not need to be different or better or more advanced. You, exactly as you are in this moment, are enough. This enoughness, this sense of completeness in this moment, is perhaps the deepest form of acceptance. It is the recognition that you are already whole, already complete, not lacking or deficient, not needing to become something other than what you are. From this place of enoughness, sleep becomes not a desperate need, but a natural next step. When you are at peace with being awake, you are no longer blocking sleep with resistance. Sleep can arrive naturally, like nightfall after day, like rest after activity. You are not pushing it away with struggle. You are not pulling it toward you with desperate grasping. You are simply here, open, allowing whatever comes next. This is the perfect condition for sleep to arise. Let your body become even heavier now, even more relaxed. Scan through your body one more time, checking for any remaining areas of tension. Your forehead, smooth and soft. Your eyes, resting deeply in their sockets. Your jaw, loose and relaxed. Your neck and shoulders, releasing downward. Your arms, heavy and still. Your hands, open and soft. your chest rising and falling with ease, your belly soft and relaxed, your back supported completely, your hips releasing any holding, your legs heavy and still, your feet relaxed and warm, your entire body a field of relaxation, comfortable, at peace. Notice the quality of stillness in your body. Even though breath continues, there is a sense of profound stillness. This is not a dead stillness, but a living stillness, like a lake early in the morning before wind disturbs the surface. Everything is alive, everything is present, yet nothing is moving unnecessarily. This is the stillness that precedes sleep, the deep quieting of the physical body that allows consciousness to shift from waking to sleeping. You are cultivating this stillness now through your practice of relaxation and presence. Within this physical stillness, notice also a growing stillness of mind. Thoughts may still arise, but perhaps they are slower, quieter, less insistent. Perhaps there are spaces between thoughts, moments of mental quietness. These spaces are like openings through which sleep can enter. As your practice deepens, these spaces grow wider, more frequent. Thoughts become less like a rushing river and more like occasional drops of rain on a pond, arising, creating a brief ripple, then settling back into stillness. You are not trying to create this state. You are simply allowing it to emerge naturally as you practice letting thoughts pass, without engaging them. There is a teaching in Tibetan Buddhism about the nature of mind, using the metaphor of sky and clouds. The sky is always clear, always pure, always spacious. Clouds come and go. Sometimes the sky is filled with clouds, sometimes clear, but the nature of sky itself never changes. It is never fundamentally clouded. Similarly, your essential nature, your awareness, is always clear and spacious. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds, passing through. Sometimes many clouds, sometimes few, but the sky-like nature of awareness remains unchanged. When you identify with the clouds, with your thoughts and emotions, you suffer their changes. When you identify with the sky, with awareness itself, you remain steady regardless of what passes through. Right now, practice identifying with the sky. Notice thoughts as clouds passing through the vast open space of awareness. The space itself is not disturbed by what moves through it. Rest as this space. Rest as this awareness. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your concerns, but the aware space within which all of these arise and pass. This might sound abstract, but it is actually quite simple and direct. Right now, there is awareness of these words, awareness of breath, awareness of body sensations. What is that awareness? Not the content of awareness, but awareness itself. Can you find it? Can you rest as it? You cannot grab it or see it, because it is what is doing the seeing. But you can sense it, you can rest in it. It is what you most fundamentally are. Everything else, your body, your thoughts, your personality, your life circumstances, all of these arise within awareness. But you are the awareness, not the things that arise within it. Resting as awareness brings profound peace, because awareness is never disturbed. It is always still, always clear, always present. Thoughts can be chaotic, emotions turbulent, body uncomfortable, but awareness remains steady. When you find this awareness and rest there, you discover a place of refuge that is always available, regardless of circumstances. This is true peace, not dependent on conditions being a certain way, but present in all conditions, because it is your fundamental nature. As you rest as awareness, you might notice that the boundary between yourself and your experience becomes softer. Usually, there is a strong sense of me here experiencing things over there. But as you rest in awareness, this duality begins to dissolve. There is just experiencing, no separate experiencer and experienced, just the seamless flow of experience within awareness. This is not a philosophical concept, but something you can directly experience as you deepen into stillness and presence. The separate self softens, and what remains is simple, open presence. This dissolution of the separate self can be deeply restful because maintaining the sense of a separate self requires constant effort. There is always the checking. How am I doing? What do others think of me? Am I safe? Am I winning or losing? This constant self-referencing is exhausting. When it relaxes, when the sense of a separate self trying to control everything dissolves into simple presence, there is tremendous relief and rest. You are no longer trying to be anyone or get anywhere. You are simply here, being, existing, without agenda or effort. From this place of effortless being, sleep is just one more happening in awareness. It is not something you do or achieve. It is something that happens when conditions are right. You have been creating these conditions, relaxing the body, quieting the mind, releasing control, accepting what is, identifying with awareness rather than with the changing content of experience. Now you can trust that sleep will come in its own time. You have done your part. The rest is beyond your control and can be surrendered to the larger wisdom of your body and being. Let yourself rest in this surrender, not a giving up, but a giving over. You are giving over control to something larger and wiser than your small managing self. You are trusting in the process of life, in the wisdom of the body, in the natural cycles of activity and rest. This trust is not passive, but deeply active. It takes great courage to let go of control. It takes wisdom to know when effort is helpful and when it becomes obstacle. You are practicing this wisdom now, learning to recognize the difference, learning to shift from doing to being at the appropriate time. In a small monastery in the mountains, there lived an elderly monk known for his deep peace and his ability to sleep soundly regardless of circumstances. Younger monks would come to him asking for his secret. One day, a young monk asked, "Master, how do you sleep so peacefully when the world is full of suffering, when there is so much work to be done?" The old monk smiled. "When it is time to work, I work with my whole being. When it is time to eat, I eat with complete attention. When it is time to sleep, I sleep fully. I do not mix the times. When I lie down to sleep, I am not working or eating. I am sleeping. This is all." This teaching is simple, yet profound. Do not mix the times. When you lie down to sleep, do not bring work with you. Do not bring yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries. Be fully where you are, doing fully what you are doing. This complete attention to the present activity, whatever it is the essence of Zen practice and the secret to peace. You cannot be at peace while your mind is divided, partly here and partly somewhere else. Peace comes from wholeness, from bringing all of yourself to this moment, this activity, this breath. Right now, you are lying down to rest. This is what you are doing. Bring your whole being to this, not trying to sleep. That is effort. That is mixing in tomorrow. Just lying here, breathing, being present with this experience exactly as it is. This is enough. This is complete. When you are wholly here, you are at peace. And from peace, sleep naturally arises when your body is ready. You are not waiting for sleep. You are not trying to achieve sleep. You are simply being here, fully, completely. This is the practice. As this practice deepens, you may notice subtle shifts in your consciousness. Perceptions may become softer, less defined. The boundary between inner and outer may blur. Thoughts may take on a dreamlike quality, less linear and logical. These are all signs that your consciousness is shifting from the beta waves of normal waking thought toward the alpha and theta, waves that characterize relaxation and the transition to sleep. You do not need to know the neuroscience. You simply need to notice these shifts and welcome them, recognizing them as your body-mind naturally moving towards sleep. If at any point you notice yourself becoming more alert, perhaps as a thought catches your attention and draws you into mental engagement, simply acknowledge this. I notice I am becoming more alert. I notice I am thinking about that situation. No judgment, no frustration. Simply notice, and then make a choice. Do you want to continue engaging with that thought, or do you want to return to the practice of presence and relaxation? Usually, you will choose to return, and you can do so gently, releasing the thought with gratitude. Thank you for arising, but right now, I am practicing rest, and guiding your attention back to your breath, your body, or your chosen anchor. Each time you make this choice, you are strengthening what is called in Buddhism, right effort. Right effort is not striving but appropriate application of energy. It is recognizing when effort is needed and when it becomes obstacle. It is making wise choices about where to direct attention and when to release control. This is a skill developed through practice. You will not always get it right. Sometimes you will try too hard. Sometimes you will lose focus completely. The practice is to notice these imbalances and gently correct again and again with patience and self-compassion. Think of learning any skill, playing an instrument, speaking a language, cooking a complex dish. At first, your efforts are clumsy and effortful. You have to think about every action. But with practice, the skill becomes more natural, more fluid. Eventually, it becomes effortless, automatic. The same is true for the skill of falling asleep peacefully. At first, these practices may feel effortful and awkward. You have to remind yourself to breathe, to relax, to release thoughts. But with repetition, it becomes more natural. Your body-mind learns the pattern. Eventually, the shift into sleep happens more easily, more quickly, more naturally. But this learning requires patience and consistency. You cannot practice once and expect mastery. You must return to these practices night after night, gradually conditioning your nervous system to know that bed equals relaxation, that lying down equals safety, that nighttime equals rest. If your nervous system has learned that bed equals anxiety and struggle, it will take time to unlearn this and establish a new pattern. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small improvements. Notice when sleep comes a little easier, when thoughts quiet a little faster, when you feel a little more relaxed. These small shifts are progress, even if complete transformation has not yet occurred. There is a beautiful practice from Zen called Shoshin, or beginner's mind. It is the practice of approaching everything as if for the first time, without preconceptions or fixed ideas. When you approach sleep practice with beginner's mind, each night is fresh. You do not bring the baggage of past difficult nights. You do not assume that tonight will be like last night. You approach this night, this moment, with openness and curiosity. What will this night bring? How will my experience unfold? This openness itself prevents you from creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where your expectation of difficulty creates the difficulty. If you approach sleep thinking, "I never sleep well, tonight will be another terrible night," you create tension and anxiety that indeed prevents good sleep. If instead you approach with beginner's mind, "I wonder how sleep will come tonight. I am curious about this process," you create openness and relaxation that allows sleep to unfold naturally. Your expectations powerfully shape your experience. Negative expectations create negative outcomes. Open, curious, non-attached expectations create space for positive outcomes. This is not positive thinking or denial. It is simply approaching your experience without prejudging it, allowing it to unfold in its own way. You can practice beginner's mind right now. Even if you have been lying here for a while, even if you have had many difficult nights, can you approach this moment as if it is completely fresh? Can you release all ideas about how your sleep should be, how you should feel, what should be happening? Can you simply be present with what is actually happening right now, without the overlay of past experience or future expectation? This is beginner's mind, and it is incredibly freeing. It releases you from the prison of your own concepts and opens you to the fresh, immediate reality of this moment. As you practice this openness, this beginner's mind, you might notice a quality of curiosity arising. Rather than judging your experience as good or bad, you might find yourself simply interested in it. Oh, this is what restless thinking feels like. Interesting. Oh, this is what relaxation spreading through my body feels like. Interesting. This curious, investigative stance is very different from the judgmental, resistant stance we usually take. Curiosity is open and accepting. Judgment is closed and resistant. Curiosity allows experience to be as it is. Judgment demands experience be different. This shift from judgment to curiosity can transform your experience. When you are curious about your sleeplessness rather than judgmental, it becomes less of a problem and more of an interesting phenomenon. Why is my mind particularly active tonight? What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? You begin to learn about yourself rather than fighting with yourself. This self-knowledge is valuable. Over time, you may discover patterns, certain foods or activities that affect your sleep, certain worries that recur, certain times of month when sleep is more difficult. With this knowledge, you can make informed choices. But the knowledge only comes when you approach your experience with curiosity rather than judgment. Let us return once more to the fundamental practice, breath awareness. No matter how far your mind wanders, you can always return here to this simple, direct experience of breathing. Breath is always in the present moment. It is a bridge between body and mind, between conscious and unconscious. When you focus on breath, you unite these aspects of your being. You become more whole, more integrated. This integration is deeply restful. So much of our fatigue comes from internal fragmentation, from different parts of ourselves pulling in different directions. Breath awareness helps to unify these parts, bringing them into harmony. As you rest your attention on breath, you might use the practice of noting or mental labeling. With each inhale, silently note in. With each exhale, silently note out. In, out, in, out. This simple labeling helps maintain attention on the breath. When you notice your mind has wandered, you simply return to noting in, out. This is an ancient practice, simple but powerful. It provides just enough mental activity to keep attention engaged without stimulating the thinking mind. You are not trying to think about the breath or analyze it. You are simply noting its presence, its rhythm, its quality. Some people find it helpful to elaborate the noting slightly. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Or even shorter. In, I calm my body. Out, I smile. These phrases, taught by the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, combine breath awareness with intention. You are not only breathing, but consciously connecting breath with calming and with the slight uplift of a smile. Even a very subtle smile, just a softening around the eyes and mouth, can shift your mood and your neurochemistry. The body-mind does not distinguish between a genuine smile and a gentle smile you choose. Both activate similar pathways associated with calm and well-being. Try this now if you wish. As you breathe in, think, in, I calm my body. As you breathe out, allow a very gentle smile to arise and think, out, I smile. Notice what happens in your body and mind as you practice this. Do you feel a softening, a lightening? Even a subtle shift is valuable. You are reconditioning your nervous system, teaching it new associations, creating new neural pathways. Over time and with repetition, these new pathways become stronger, more automatic. But it begins with single moments like this one, single breaths where you practice something new. There is an understanding in neuroscience called neurons that fire together, wire together. This means that whatever we practice becomes stronger. If we practice worrying, we get better at worrying. If we practice being present, we get better at presence. If we practice tension, we create more tension. If we practice relaxation, we become more relaxed. This is both challenging and hopeful. Challenging because it means our difficulties often come from our own habitual patterns. Hopeful because it means we can create new patterns, new habits, new ways of being. We are not stuck with the nervous system we have. We can reshape it through practice. Right now, lying here, you are practicing relaxation, presence, acceptance, compassion. You are creating new pathways, strengthening new patterns. Even if sleep does not come immediately, this practice is valuable. You are investing in your long-term well-being, training your nervous system in ways that will serve you not only for sleep, but for all of life. Learning to calm yourself, to be present with difficulty, to respond to your experience with curiosity rather than judgment. These are life skills that will benefit you in countless ways. So even on nights when sleep feels elusive, you are not wasting time. You are practicing something profoundly valuable. As we move deeper into this practice together, I want to acknowledge any frustration you may be feeling. If a part of you is thinking, I have been listening to this for a long time and I am still awake, that is completely understandable. You came here seeking sleep, and you want it to come now. This impatience is natural, but notice that the impatience itself, the wanting things to be different than they are, is what creates suffering. The actual experience of lying here, breathing, listening, this is not inherently problematic. It is only problematic when compared to the desired experience of being asleep. Can you release that comparison for a moment? Can you simply be with this experience as it is, without measuring it against something else? This is perhaps the deepest teaching. Stop comparing. Stop measuring. Stop evaluating. Simply be with what is. Not because what is happening is perfect or ideal, but because resistance to what is happening creates suffering, and acceptance of what is happening creates peace. You can accept this moment of wakefulness and still prefer to be asleep. Acceptance is not the same as liking or wanting. It is simply acknowledging reality as it is without adding the layer of resistance. I am awake right now. This is what is true. From this clear seeing of what is, you can respond skillfully. But if you cannot first acknowledge what is true, you will be responding to your ideas about reality rather than to reality itself. Let your attention settle once more into your body. Feel the weight of your body against the surface beneath you. Feel gravity pulling gently, constantly, reliably. Gravity is always here, always holding you, always connecting you to the earth. You cannot fall off the earth. You are held by a force so fundamental we rarely notice it. But it is always here, supporting you, grounding you. In the same way, your fundamental nature, that spacious awareness we explored earlier, is always here, supporting you, grounding your experience. Even when everything feels chaotic and disturbed, there is this deeper ground that remains stable. Rest into this sense of being supported by gravity, by the earth, by your own fundamental being. You are not alone. You are not separate. You are intimately connected to everything, held within a vast web of relationship and support. Your breath connects you to all breathing beings. Your body is made of elements from ancient stars. Your consciousness is part of the universal field of awareness. You belong here. You are part of the whole. This belonging is always true, but we often forget it, caught up in the illusion of separation. Remember it now. Feel it. You are home, always home, because you are part of the totality. From this sense of belonging and safety, you can release even more deeply. You do not have to protect yourself or maintain control. You are held by something much larger than your small self. You can trust this. You can let go into it. This is the ultimate surrender, not to some external God or force, but to the fundamental nature of reality itself, which is interconnected, intelligent, and ultimately benevolent. Life is always moving toward balance, toward healing, toward wholeness. Your body is part of this movement. Right now, it is moving toward sleep, toward restoration, toward healing. Trust this movement. You do not have to make it happen. You simply have to stop preventing it. And how do you stop preventing it? By releasing resistance, by accepting what is, by being present, by relaxing physically and mentally, by trusting the process. All of these teachings, all of these practices, come down to this: stop fighting and allow. Stop trying to control and trust. Stop adding effort and simply be. This is the most difficult and most important teaching. Our entire culture teaches us the opposite, that we must strive, control, achieve, make things happen. But sleep cannot be achieved through striving. Peace cannot be controlled into existence. Rest cannot be forced. These emerge naturally when we create the right conditions and then allow. You have created the conditions. You have lain down. You have practiced relaxation. You have focused your attention. You have explored these teachings. Now is the time to allow, to release all effort, all trying, all wanting things to be different, to simply be here, breathing, existing, open to whatever unfolds. If sleep comes, beautiful. If sleep does not come yet, that is also okay. You are practicing something valuable regardless. You are training your nervous system. You are developing your capacity for presence. You are learning to be at peace regardless of circumstances. This is profound work, and you are doing it right now, in this moment. Let your breath become your entire world now. Everything else fades into background. There is only the sensation of breath moving in and out, the gentle rhythm, the endless cycle. In, out, in, out. Nothing to achieve, nowhere to go, nothing to become. Just breathing, just being, just this. So simple, so complete. This breath is enough. This moment is enough. You are enough. Rest in this enoughness. Rest in this completion. Rest in this peace that is always available beneath the surface of struggle. If images arise, let them. If thoughts drift through, let them. If sounds occur, let them. Everything is welcome in the vast space of awareness. Nothing needs to be pushed away or grasped at. Everything can simply be as it is. You are the space within which all experience occurs, and the space is never diminished or enhanced by what moves through it. The space is always whole, always complete, always at peace. Rest as this space. Rest as this awareness. Rest as your true nature, which is not the changing content of experience, but the unchanging context within which all experience arises. This might sound philosophical, but it is actually very immediate and practical. Right now, there is awareness. That awareness is what you are most fundamentally. Not your thoughts, not your body, not your story, but the aware presence that knows all of these things. This aware presence never sleeps in the way the body sleeps. It is always here, always present, but it takes on different qualities, sometimes contracted and tense, sometimes open and relaxed. Right now, you are allowing awareness to relax, to open, to soften. This is the perfect condition for the body to follow awareness into sleep. As the body prepares to sleep, consciousness begins to withdraw from the external world. Sounds become more distant. The body feels farther away. There is a quality of retreating inward, of sinking into a deeper stratum of being. This is natural and can be allowed. You are not leaving consciousness. Consciousness is always present. But you are allowing it to shift from its outward-facing, active mode to its inward-facing, receptive mode. This shift is sleep beginning to happen. Do not grab at it or try to make it happen faster. Simply notice it and allow it to continue at its own pace. There is nothing you need to do now. Nothing to remember. Nothing to practice. Nothing to achieve. You can simply let yourself drift. Let yourself soften. Let yourself sink. If part of you wants to remain vigilant, watching for sleep, see if you can release even that. You do not need to watch for sleep. Sleep will come in its own time, or it will not. And either way, you are okay. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. Trust this. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust life itself, which has sustained you every moment since your birth and will continue to sustain you. Let these words become like a gentle river carrying you along. You do not need to hold on to any particular word or phrase. Let them flow through your awareness, offering gentle suggestions, gentle reminders, gentle support. You are not alone in this practice. Countless beings throughout history have lain awake, seeking sleep, have struggled with restless minds, have walked this same path. You are part of a great lineage of seekers, of practitioners, of ordinary humans learning to work skillfully with their own minds and bodies. You carry the wisdom of all who have come before you, and you are developing wisdom that you will pass on to those who come after. Rest in this connection, this sense of being part of something larger than yourself. You are a wave in the great ocean of being, appearing for a moment with your unique form, then dissolving back into the whole. While you exist as this wave, you have your own experience, your own challenges, your own journey, but you are never separate from the ocean. The ocean is what you are made of, what sustains you, what you will return to. Right now, you can rest in this deeper identity, not just this particular wave with its particular concerns, but the ocean itself, vast, deep, eternal. From this perspective, whether you sleep or not tonight is a small concern. You are so much larger than any single experience. This is not to diminish your real struggle or your genuine desire for sleep. It is to help you see that struggle in a larger context, to help you not make it mean something about your worth or your adequacy. You are whole and complete regardless of how well you sleep. Your value does not depend on your sleep quality. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you are a conscious being, because you are part of the miracle of existence. Remember this: you are enough just as you are, right now, in this moment. As we come to the close of this guidance, I want to leave you with a final teaching. There is a Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The point is that enlightenment does not change what you do, but how you do it. In the same way, these practices do not give you a magic formula that will make you instantly fall asleep every night. What they offer is a different way of relating to your experience of trying to sleep. Before practice, you lie in bed, fighting with yourself, creating suffering. After practice, you lie in bed with acceptance, creating peace. The external situation may be the same, but your internal experience is transformed. This transformation is what we have been practicing tonight, not trying to force sleep to come, but transforming your relationship to wakefulness, not trying to eliminate thoughts, but changing how you relate to thoughts. Not trying to be different, but accepting yourself exactly as you are. This is the practice. And it is a practice that continues night after night, moment after moment, for the rest of your life. There is no point at which you have mastered it completely and never struggle again. There will be easy nights and difficult nights. The practice is to meet both with presence, acceptance, and compassion. So now, as I step back and leave you in silence, know that you have everything you need. You have your breath as an anchor. You have your body as a source of wisdom. You have your awareness as a refuge. You have practices for relaxation, focus, and acceptance. Most importantly, you have yourself, whole, complete, worthy of kindness and care. Be gentle with yourself tonight and every night. Trust the process. Trust your body. Trust life itself. And know that whether sleep comes quickly or slowly, you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn. May you find deep rest. May you find peace. May you awaken refreshed and ready for tomorrow's journey. And if tomorrow comes and you did not sleep as you hoped, may you greet yourself with compassion rather than judgment, with curiosity rather than criticism. You are doing beautifully. You are enough. Rest now in that knowing. Rest in the certainty that you are held by something much larger than yourself, that you are loved by the universe itself, that you belong here, that all is well. Let yourself sink into that knowing. Let yourself be carried by that trust. Let yourself rest, deeply, completely, peacefully, breathing in breathing out, being here, being now, simply this, simply rest.